Alright guys, got me a small little tiny trout. I think this is a cutthroat trout though, from the different spots on the belly. See, right there. Doesn't have much of a rainbow, so I'm pretty sure, I think this is a cutthroat trout. Pretty good one. Right back to the water. Beautiful. Out here. First time doing YouTube videos. Gotta use clean up all my hands. Usually I fish right over there, but I decided to come kind of in between the lake. This little rocks path, I guess. It used to be an old driveway, but lately it had. Lately the water's gone up quite a bit. It used to go all the way down to that little area over there where that truck is, down over there. But I just been out here probably about 10 minutes or so, getting everything, got on my packages, like all my stuff, my chair, set it up, my catfish rod, got my bag, got all my power bait, got tons of freaking power bait, different flavors, and then I got beef liver, chicken liver, raw shrimp, not cooked shrimp, raw, and I mix it in with, I buy like $1 Walmart powders, like seasonings, garlic salt, garlic powder, and I buy the small little packages of Jello, cherry Jello, usually the Great Value kind, the Walmart brand. Usually the best, it's cheap, usually works quite well with catching carp and catching catfish, specifically channel catfish. It sometimes catch blue catfish out here, but most of the time it's channel catfish. And then just got my setup, which is I got my ultralight rod out here because I'm trout fishing right now. I got a slip shot on a 6 pound line, a Cajun line, a barrel swivel, and a size 6 hook. Right now, from being out here probably about 5 minutes or so, usually this pond, it's Monahan Perch Pond, usually these trout about a foot of leader, usually perfect depth for the power bait to float up about a foot up off the ground. They seem to bite the hell out of it. I was here yesterday on the opposite side, which I never fished the opposite side before, but I was kind of curious, and it seemed to be that I had to do about 3 foot of line because I think it's deeper over there. I scan with my eye bopper around the ponds I go fish at to see kind of like how deep it is. About the trout usually feed about mid pond, about middle of the lakes. I've had the best bet about a foot to about 2 foot usually would catch me the most trout majority of the time. Yesterday I was out here and I have some videos of that too, which I'll post on this video, a couple videos. It's with my mom and took her out like on a son mother fishing little trip. Doesn't really get out much. And we fished yesterday for probably about 6 hours. All I do is, it's pretty simple. On the 6-ounce hook, I do about a little bit. I scoop it about quite a bit, enough to cover the 6-ounce hook that I got. I try to cover the whole entire hook, leave like a little tail so when it drops down, see, when it drops down, it kind of looks kind of like a fish when it's dropping. and I kind of leave majority of the mass on the hook part, and I leave the hook out. Most people tell you to cover the whole hook, but I don't keep fish. I don't eat fish. I love fishing, but I don't eat it. I'm not a fish person. I kind of don't like the taste of the fish. But for the most part, I seem to lip every single time when I do it this way. If I started, when I first started out, I would cover the whole hook, but probably about 50% of the time, it guts the fish. And with trout, if you gut the fish, usually half the time you got to keep the fish. And since right about right there, I'd probably do about middle, maybe closer towards the middle of the pond seems to work best for me. I let it drop probably about 3-4 seconds, and then I reel it in, get it nice and tight where I could feel like the slack, and then instantly I had a bite right there. They seem to love the freaking pink. The pink, the orange, garlic flavors. I used to use quite a bit of marshmallows and corn. That seems to work. I mean, I'd catch fish every so often, probably about 10 minutes in, about 15 minutes. But what I've seen to work best for me is using the power baits. I live kind of in Odessa, Texas, Midland, Texas, and our stores here, since we really don't have lakes and stuff like that, it usually, there it is, some fish on. See, instantly, man, like, they love the pink. These are stock trout, so they're used to, there it is, see, it's a little fighter right there. That was a little fighter. These small ones are freaking fighters. That's a nice little rainbow trout right here. See, there it is. And see, I'll show y'all right when I get this fish up here. Right now I'm using a, see, that's a good size one right there. It's a good size little stock trout. You see right here on the lip. See, perfectly right there on the lip. What I want to do, I love the sport of fishing. I love catching them, not gutting them so they could come out real quick. All right, buddy, hold on. I'll get you in right now. Right there. Beautiful, beautiful underlip. This one looks like it got messed up. Look at that. See, that's when people use too big of a hooks and it tries to swallow it and they don't know how to unhook a fish. This one looks like it got a beating right down the head. Looks kind of deformed. But usually I like to let the trout go, but I've had a chance. These trout, they've been in this pond a little bit longer, so they're not super sensitive usually. Most of the time, trout could be super sensitive and you kind of hold them down and, you know, let them, give them a little bit so they can swim in themselves so they don't shock out. But, so these ones you can just throw right back in and they go swimming right back in perfectly. So this one's split kind of in between. I tried fishing this side yesterday. It's a lot shallower on this side for sure. It's probably about like 2 feet deep. And since there's a roadway going down, I think the trout, where they stocked it was on the majority of this side right here where they dumped it. So I think the trout love staying on this side of the river, of the pond. This side over here, I've had a couple chances on the other side when I was fishing yesterday. I caught a couple, but I think they're having difficulties kind of like going across this little shallow area. But see, this is my beef liver that I have right going on. I just threw out this. I kind of just threw out the catfish not too long ago. I'm gonna give it about 20 minutes or so, and if I don't catch nothing on the beef liver, I'm gonna try some chicken liver. And there seems to be like pulling on it right there. Y'all could kind of see but it also could be the wind. So I kind of got my bopper. I got my bopper on the line right here, and so if something does actually pull that thing, which I'm hoping for. Yesterday I tried catfishing. It's kind of cold right now. Right now it's like a real feel of 10 degrees. And here in Texas, that's kind of cold weather. It doesn't get down like that usually. But this pond's stocked with channel catfish. They stock it with a couple blue catfish, not very much blue catfish. They stock it with carp, which, I mean, people don't like carp. People don't like to eat carp. Carp is fun to catch though. They're fighters. And then between the December to March, April, they stock you with trout. Here they usually stock it twice, which is usually December, January. And they stock it probably about like 2,000, 3,000 trout. Most people here that I've seen, they usually catch. They're usually pretty good with catching trout. They never have difficulties if they know what they're doing. And then I've seen people here that don't ever catch anything. But I think people don't know how to catch trout. So right now I'm using pink extra scent glitter. This is not garlic flavored, but it tastes pretty fishy. And I was using some garlic yesterday. I have some garlic scent, green, like natural green color. It's like a kind of like a olive green, and it seems to be working pretty well because they love the smell of garlic. And trout, they have a tendency to be really good seers in the water. Hence, that's why people tell you they cover the hook. They cover up the hook completely. Since I don't take fish home, I'd rather lip them than not lip them and then gut them, and then I'm gonna have to take them. And usually my wife's family, they like fish, but I prefer, see, this is a garlic one, that natural scent. As you can tell, I've used quite a bit of it. These are like $5.99. Walmart's $6 at Bass Pro Shop, Cabela's. And I just went recently to San Antonio. I could spend hours in Bass Pro Shop, and I asked my wife, hey, they don't have these type of flavors, can I get a whole bunch? So I bought a huge bag, a huge amount of them, different scents, different flavors. I have green, I have white. The white seems to be working. I have rainbow and garlic scent. I have the forest green, neon green stuff. This stuff seems to work pretty well. Right now, I was using earlier, which was the Karma Glow extra scent orange, neon orange. Is working great. I bought like 2 of each. Usually what I've done also too is at Walmart, at my Walmart, they get sold out pretty quick, but at Walmart they sell Bang. It's like a spray, a garlic, it comes in garlic, crawfish flavor, shad, what other flavor, like a natural scent for like bass. The garlic sticks beautifully on these power baits, lures. Yesterday I have some videos which I'll post on this one. I was using some rooster tails, and it was a little bit warmer. Yesterday it was like 56 degrees. Today, weather in Texas just changes automatically overnight like crazy. See right here, I kind of covered it, and I could show you why I don't really cover it. It's like 50-50. If I react quick enough to the bite, I will lip them on this. If I don't react quick enough on the bite, most of the time they're gonna swallow it. And usually the bigger ones tend to swallow the hook real well. So I let it sink a couple times. Sometimes the bite is automatic. I let it sink a couple times. Right there. I pull up on it. There's a little bow on my line right here. I don't know if you can see it in the video or not because it's Cajun line. But you gotta go a little bit tighter. You wanna go right there, nice and snug. And then just kind of wait. I didn't throw it really far out, but it tends to have a quick bite to the pink lately. So you see, when I'm pulling on it, I pull it a little bit because sometimes the fish is not right there in that section. I'll pull it a little bit, get it tight again. It'll move it to like probably about like 2-3 feet in the water. And the wind's going right now, so I usually put my finger right here on the line. I hold it against the rod and I get the tension up on my line. Right now the wind's going, so it's kind of blowing my line a little bit, but I'll go a little bit every so often, pull it in, and then I'll reel it in. I felt a bite right when I was coming up, but it's kind of hard to tell because this area is kind of a little bit rocky on the bottom, that you don't know if it's a fish bite. You can tell the difference for sure, but sometimes with that slip shot, it gets caught up on a hook that it feels like a bite. And the power bait, if there's a pull, there's a tug on it, usually if it gets stuck in something, it'll pull the bait right off. So I let it sink a little bit, tying up the line, get it nice and tight. There's a bite right there, another bite. I'm pretty sure those are quick little bites. Those are probably small little trout. I'm pretty sure they took my bait because I wasn't fast enough. But sometimes they actually, hence this is kind of why I don't like covering the hook up, because trout, from other videos of pro fishermen and everything like that I've seen, because I'm a self-taught fisherman. I've self-taught myself everything I know, so it took me a while to learn quite a bit of stuff. But from what I've known is that trout bite super soft biters, and hence why you have to pull real quick. A lot of people like to use those little bite machines that they put on the ground, or boppers. I've never had good experiences with boppers with trout, because half the time, if you're gonna eat the fish, here in Texas it's five fish for the bag limit for the trout, and half the time when I'm using boppers, they swallow the hook, and then the bopper will go down. But see, so I'm going to actually try it the way I like to do it, because I have the best tendency to catch fish that way, with the hook out, and not out too far, but enough to where the bait is up here, the hook down right here, and kind of like, that's kind of what I want. Something like this, where they do bite the hook's outside the bait, and I have a better chance of them, that's all it is right there, they have a better chance, here, let me put a little tail on that thing, a better chance of actually hooking the fish, lipping them, and them actually setting the hook on themselves when I'm dropping it down. And I threw it a little bit, see, it's a little bit farther out earlier. It's about mid, maybe a little bit less than mid. Right now I'm using ultralight, little Lucy ultralight rod. Ah, that was a bite right there. And you see, I felt the bite a lot harder because of the fact that it almost hooked the fish. but I was reeling in at the same time to try to get that line tight, and it ended up pulling that hook right out the mouth of the trout, which people don't like. People love using worms and stuff like that but usually the worms are not that. The worms are usually more expensive than the power bait, and the power bait goes a lot more longer, and the worm usually dies on the hook, to be honest. And then you have a chance of catching not just only trout but bluegill. And it's too cold for the bluegill right now. The bluegill are gonna be hiding up in the little dens on the water, but the trout will usually swallow the whole hook with the worms. Hence why right here we're gonna try like a little something different. I'm gonna try a little ball and hope right there that they bite right off, because they've been seeing the pink bait going down the water. So what people don't know is that trout are the visual seers, so hence you can kind of see the glitter. I don't know if you can see the glitter in the camera, but you see, if you see the glitter kind of shining kind of nicely. This one has like white little glitter in it, but you also want to see if the bait's gonna float in the water. So like right there, you see how it floats, and you want to see if it floats with the hook size. So size 6 is usually pretty good with the little nub. You see the slip shot, if you can see it right there in the water, the slip shot's gonna drop in the water right there, and it's gonna drop, but the bait's gonna be floating. And so the leader I have is about a foot, probably about 11 inches or so. And if they're bottom feeding right now because it's kind of cold, that they could see that right there. They're not on the ground, but they could see that pink bait right away. And this is about 5 feet deep from my fish sensor when I've scanned it multiple times. And sometimes I like to reel it in, and it's almost there. Okay, and right there, that's where I want it. Nice and tight. And almost. So these trout have a tendency to freaking bite quick before I get anything set up most of the time, which is a good thing, but it goes through my power bait freaking quick, which is I don't mind, because I don't use very much power bait on my hooks because it's a size 6. But since I've been showing you guys the pink, let me show you something that I kind of use kind of different with this as well. If the bite's going like that pretty fast and you don't have enough time to actually set the line tight, and actually it needs a little bit more, like about this size, it's gonna work great. This is gonna use a little bit more, but it's gonna be acting like a lure, but with power bait. And a lot of people know that you can actually use this as a lure, like a soft bait pretty much. I mean, when the fish bite on it, you got a probably good, more than like 70% chance of actually hooking the fish out on the lip before they actually smack it. So you're gonna actually, this one you're gonna actually cover it all up, the whole hook, like this. Okay, I still like to leave a little bit of the barb out, of the little hook out. You cover all the hook all the way up to the line right here. Okay, leave a little bit, like a little tiny fish, right? And then you flatten this end right here. Right there should go good, pretty good. Right there. Okay, and then you kind of want to make it a little bit bigger right here, because the bigger the tail, the more action you get out of the, okay, right there. Okay, kind of something similar to that, and I'll show you the kind of the action that it does in the water for y'all, which is kind of like a little fish. So you're going to watch right here. So okay, you see automatically the bait floats right in the water. I drop my slip shot, it's floating. But you see how it spins? It does like a little spin. Here, watch. and then you want to give it a little bit of action with your reel, and it looks kind of like a fish. Similar. I made the tail a little bit too thin, and the little bit of the tail came off. But you're gonna act like this is gonna act kind of like a little lure now. So you're gonna throw it down over there, let it drop. Probably about 3-4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're gonna reel in real slow. And usually, you get a good action on this, like right there with the bites. And you're covering all the section towards when you're coming back towards your rod, and you can drop it a little bit and reel it in. Just drop it really silently like this and reel it in. And usually it works pretty well. So right now I'm getting a couple bites, but nothing too hard where and you see, yeah, I got a couple bites, and they took my bait automatically. But if I'm gonna probably make it a little bit thicker, because I think I made that tail a little bit too thin. So when I was going through the water too fast, it broke the tail broke off of it. And when it does to do that, it tends to spiral like this, and the power bait will come off. So, and plus, what you kind of want to do too is if you do this kind of way, see, this is probably like a good amount right here, because you could actually cover the whole thing all the way up to about the line. You want to get this all covered up. I still like to leave my hook out, but since you're kind of using it as a lure, you don't want to leave a lot of it out. Like this would probably be like significant enough right here, just that little barb out right there. Compact it real nice all the way up to the line right here. Okay, and then you're gonna want to squish this right here a little bit right here. And the Europeans use this, they call it a duck foot, which I don't know why they call it duck foot. That's just something that they kind of use, but it's more like a little like this. They call this a duck foot right here. And so I'll show you why. I guess they call it a duck foot. I don't know. I guess I really don't know why, but it seems to have the best action in the water. So it floats perfectly, and you see how it does that, like that little spin. It does a spin, pretty well spin. See, it spins around perfectly, and it spins like a kind of like a little propeller. And so you want to get it nice and wet, and so the power bait seems to stick on better when it's a little bit wet. Let it, like I said, let it float a little bit, and then what you want to do is just reel it in nice and slow. And yesterday I was doing this too in the morning when I got here, and you let it drop a little bit, you reel it in a little bit more, and it depends on how fast the fish are biting. They were biting earlier quite quickly, and I don't know if you can see it, but it floated perfectly fine, and then it comes right back up. And this one seems, when you let it drop, since it's quite a bit, it actually won't drag on the floor, because it's a lot more power bait. And I think the last one I just did, when I was showing you all, I think I went too less, so it wasn't getting more, there wasn't a lot of buoyancy on it. And then all you want to do is drag it slowly, like pretty slow. You see I'm going pretty slow with this thing, and you want to let it drop, sit for a little bit. It covers the most area, and then you get those bites right there. And I'm pretty sure it took my bait. Yeah, straight took it. And usually you get the bigger trout out of those, like the little actions off the lures. you usually get the bigger trout because it's a bigger bait. And usually the little small trout, they try to be selfish and try to, which I'm gonna try orange right now because I was using orange yesterday and the orange was like instantly working best because this one doesn't really float for some reason. Even if I put a lot, like it floats, but I gotta put a lot of it. And I think it's because I just barely opened it yesterday and it doesn't have that oxygen. It's kind of hardening out the dough a little bit. And so, let's put that little tail right here. There used to be bass in this pond a long time ago, probably 3-4 years ago, and they haven't stocked it since with bass. And that's probably because instead of people fishing them and throwing them back in, they take them home and they eat them. And I'm not a fish person, so I don't know how bass taste, but people say it tastes pretty good. But there you go, kind of like a little tiny slug on this thing, and I left that barb just barely enough to see. Watch this one. Okay, since I put quite a bit of dough on it, it tends to float, and this one does a nice little spiral. It depends on how you find out what works best on these baits for you when you compact them, because every little thing is it's something different. I have a tendency to make them like little worms, like scrounge them up like this, like real fast and thin, and I put a little tiny tail, like a little tiny fish tail, and it and freaking took it. But I get excited too quick and I don't set the freaking hook and I try to reel it in, and always comes out of their mouths, because if they feel any little pressure they spit it right out. But yeah, orange, man, that orange seems to, that's what I was using yesterday, and the orange seems to be working fantastic for the little lure that I do on it. And that's if you don't want to sit and chill and wait. I mean, I like seeing the fight of the fish, and I could sit there and wait and be patient and talk with y'all, but I kind of like this a little bit. I kind of like the point of seeing the fight, the fish fight and everything. So see, I'm gonna pack it a little bit like this. I'll show you guys what I do. Right there, a little bit tight. It kind of looks like a little worm, like a little, I would say like a little grub. And I put the hook like this, so enough to where this is like this, and then I'll roll it kind of just a little bit like this, get it nice and neatly in there. See, the hook is set perfectly on this thing, and I put a little tail right here on the back like this, and I seem to get the best action. Sometimes it seems to, if I reel in too quickly, it will see, flatten out like this, but then it acts like a little propeller. And for some reason they like that stuff, and I think it's because it's a freaking big piece of bait on a little tiny hook, and they just seem to like it. I don't know why. And you let it sit a little bit, but you keep your line tight when it sits, and then you reel it in, because you're not going to feel those little trout bites unless their line's tight. Like right there, it bit. I had a good little bite on that thing. And of course, once again, they take my bait. But the trout out here is kind of different. I had a guy yesterday when I was talking to him, he swore on bacon. he said bacon works great for trouts. And I'm like, bacon? I thought to myself, like, you could get it really cheap bacon for like $2 at Walmart. And over here, this power bait, you can get a whole bunch of slices and little pieces big enough for trout. And I'm like, over here, I'm using power bait, $6, but it has glitter in it, and I think the trout loves glitter. Hence kind of why I like using powered bait instead. I swear to you, y'all, that power bait's the best thing for trout fishing. I've tried marshmallows, corn works, but then you get those trout that bite on the corn pretty easily. And see, I'm gonna try to make this look kind of like a marshmallow, like a little ball, like a bole, a little tiny ball. See, I think I need to put a little bit more because this hook is a little bit bigger, and so, oh yeah, it floats perfectly. And that's because I used a white one like a couple weeks ago, and the seal on there is gone off of it, and so whenever that happens, it tends to harden out the dough a little bit, and it hooks onto the hook better. And so right there, nice and tight. And we just wait. And this is the kind of the part that I don't mind so much. This is why people put little boppers on their stuff. But I like to feel the bite with my finger. Kind of like I showed you guys earlier. You put that finger on there, you get it nice and tight, and you can feel those little nibbles on that thing. But you want to pull right when you feel a nibble. And half the time it's 50-50 with this, that you might get the fish, you might not get the fish, but you just don't know. And they may not like the white right now. That's why I have so many colors. The white, they just may look at it and be like, eh, because so many people fish out here with marshmallows that they may know already that, like, oh, see, I felt the bite on that one right there. And that's the thing. You wait a little bit, see if you feel another bite. Half the time, these trout already take the bait off the hook. Yep. You know, half the time the fish take the bait, and hence why I think trout fishing is all about skill, to be honest with you guys. It's not about luck. It's all about skill and knowing what y'all are doing. I used to sit out here for like hours, and not catch one damn fish. And then I would see people over there. It's usually the older people, kind of probably knowing what they're doing, and they're catching trout left and right. And I was like, what the hell am I doing wrong? But from me just learning out myself and watching everything on YouTube and everything like that, you find out these little tips and tricks on how to fish and how to do it properly. And so this orange seems to be working best, and I've gotten the most bites on this stuff yesterday. So let's just do what hasn't been not working, and I just do this. And I feel like these trout are probably super aggressive today because, gotta make sure I'm not lying. Okay, these trout are super aggressive today. You see, watch it. It sinks like for no reason whatsoever. It's like this stuff sinks, but it sinks so slowly, which I think it entices the trout because it's sinking down, and that's probably why they're liking it. I don't know why. but I think it's going so slowly down. Let's see. Something had that earlier. See how the line dropped? See how the line's dropping? Okay, fish on. Ah, nice. Fish on, guys. And you see, instantly, and it's coming right towards me too. Ah, there you go, look at that. And this is kind of why I use the light rod, because a couple years ago, I used to use my bass rod. Ah, come on, buddy. You're not gonna get off the hook. I used to use the bass rod, and you would never feel that pull. You'd feel the pull, get lucky every so often. I know, buddy, right there. And you would not feel the fight of the fish as much. And I love feeling the fight of the fish. And so, here, let me, right there. Beautiful, right off. I lipped it. I know, trying to. And the spots are beautiful on these little stock trout. And then, and right down it goes. And then there it goes. See, then it disappears. And the water here is really dirty. It's really freaking dirty water. So the trout blend in that water perfectly with their back, because it's like a olive green. But that fish, when I was jumping around, it got some water up in my mouth. Ugh. But I would say that, there's not much to fishing for trout. I think it's one hell of a fish to fish for. It's pretty fun. I've gone bass fishing a couple times. Bass fishing is great too, but you have to have either live baits or lures for bass. And around here in Texas, I've noticed that tons of vegetation in the water, and half the time, if you don't really know what you're doing for bass fishing, you're going to snag on a lot of stuff and lose a lot of your lures. And those bass lures are not that cheap. And then you have all the problems of right there. With that nice, neat hooks visible on there. The trout are really not going to see that hook, to be honest, even though they're really good seers. And then this one, see, just decides to float now, but then you see how it's slowly dropping. So, and by the time I'm done using the orange one, it's not even hardening out, because I just seem to use the orange one a lot at this pond. Hence kind of why I bought 2 or 3 of those. But not much to it. And then we just wait. And it took it. And I'm using 6-pound test, and I've used this pole the last couple years. San Angelo, Crowdcroft, in New Mexico, San Angelo, Texas, and I've caught carp, probably about 6-7 pound carp, up on this small ultra rod 6-pound test, and it works. The Cajun line works great. A lot of people like to use a fluorocarbon leader, so it's clear, it's not visible. But since this water is really like murky, they can't really tell the difference. They really can't tell the difference on the lines out here. All they see is that shiny stuff, and they smack it pretty instantly. So you see, I'm probably going to use about half of this because it doesn't tend to float regardless. And I'll just set that right there. But they seem to be biting the hell out of it regardless, even if it's floating or not. And so I'm going to probably try something like this. See maybe if I can get a better bite out of it. Because they seem to be biting the hell out of it regardless because they're enticed by the glitter on it. And in a little bit, I'll take my catfish rod out and I'll throw a couple of rooster tails for y'all. And see if we can get something on some rooster tails. See if we can get a couple of things on rooster tails out here for you guys. And the rooster tails would probably work pretty great out here. And yeah, I see they're biting on that bait instantly already, even though it's not floating. And it's probably because it's sinking so slow down that it doesn't matter if it floats or not. It's just sinking so slow that they're just biting it regardless. I don't even care if that hook shows or not on that bait. And usually they're pretty suspicious about stuff. So what we're gonna try now, I kind of just gotta figure out what the fish are biting and how they're hooking up correctly. So I'm gonna put the bullet right here and see maybe if this works a little bit better. And you just gotta play around with your power bait, your doughs, and your baits. Corn seems to work. You can put 2-3 pieces of corn on there, and I have a cup of corn that I have Jello, garlic, salt, garlic powder. And I'm pretty sure that I'll get instant bites off of that stuff because the scent of that stuff's been marinating for like 3 days in a refrigerator. Alright, so you got some bites on those things. And I'm pretty sure, usually when you feel the bite, there it is. Usually when you feel the bite the first time, the bait's gone. But, see, that's a smaller little baby trout. That's a smaller little stock trout right there. Not too bad of size. But, there it is, look at there, it's coming right in right here. Nice. And then the spots on those things are great. There you go. And since I was reeling in a little bit at the same time as sorry buddy, hold on, let me unhook you up real quick so I can show you guys on how to unhook these. This one got it perfectly right there on the side of the lip, if y'all can kind of see that right here. I'm sorry, I know you're hurting. I'll get you in the water right now. Right here on the side of the lip, that hook is. So you just gotta follow it, go down and follow it like this and come right up, and the hook comes out right away. That's probably like a good size, like little 8. And then right there, and it goes instantly. Right when it comes off the side, you don't see the fish no more. And there's some good sized trout out here. There was a dude earlier. He was catching like a foot, like 16-inch or probably 17-inch freaking trout out here. And I'm like, man, I'm catching all these little small ones right now. But he was using, like, I think marshmallows. But certain people inject their marshmallows with stuff. And so, excuse me, some people inject the marshmallows with like a little injector, and they put scent on those things. And I mean, whatever seems to work works, you know. But I guess that's what was working for that guy. And so they seem to be biting on the little nibbles. So let's just keep on trying that out. Get the hook out right here on the little bullet. Put it right here. And there it is. The hook's still on the outside. So I hope to lip them. Get a little towel because those trout have some slimy ass bodies. Let's try it out. I'm trying to catch you guys like a nice size one so I can show y'all. Usually when it's a little cold out here, but it's not too bad. You see, right now I'm kind of just reeling it in and hoping for the best. And kind of just reeling it in and waiting for it to get kind of snug right there. So I have it nice and snug. And right there. And there was a bite right there, and there was another bite. I doubt that it's a fish. Yeah, it's not. And it took a couple pieces. I'm gonna let it drop right there because they always follow the bait back. And hence, that's kind of why I let it drop. And this orange just seems to not float. It drops automatically to the ground. And usually when you get a bite, usually the bait is gone. But it's getting around 3 o'clock, and I've noticed that these baits these trout hit usually around 3, 4, or 5 o'clock real well. And I'm pretty sure my bait's gone because I thought a couple smacks on that thing when I was reeling it in. Well, let me get this going with some more baits. But first, let's see if we can get some. Let me see if we can get some action on a rooster tail, guys. So let me cut this hook off real quick with my knife. And yesterday I was using like a yellow color. Right now I may change it up a little bit. Okay, let's see what we should do. I may change it up a little bit for you guys today. And let's take a look in my bag of lures and baits, soft baits. See, maybe we might get something that these trout may want to smack on faster for y'all. Let's see. Pre-made hooks, trout. And I have OCD sometimes, guys, so I have a tendency to label my boxes and stuff because I like to be organized. But you got this little critter right here. This usually looks good for bass. These were good for me the other day for crappie, panfish. Let's try this one or this one seems to work best. So, or since they've been smacking the orange, I may go for this one. So let's try the orange, because as y'all can see, the orange, they've just been demolishing the orange stuff. My wife got me this bag for Christmas a year ago. Love this bag. It's a Plano. Probably about $89, but it has a case for the two sides. I use one for barrel swivels, one for weights, and the front one's for single hooks. And then it came with all of these organizing boxes, and then it has 2 rods so you can hold your rods. It has a backpack strap on the back, so if you don't want to carry it on your shoulder, you can carry it on your back. And it just made, I used to carry damn near like boxes and totes of stuff for my tackle. My wife told me one time, she was like, "Baby, look ghetto." And I'm like, "Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do." And so Christmas one year, she just decided, you know what? Let me get him a nice box. And I had a small little plano box, but it tended to break and everything like that. So what I use for my knots is, a lot of people use polymer, and it's pretty simple and fast, and it stays on pretty well. But I like to use a fisherman knot. I'm just old, natural style like that. I'm not old, but it's the first knot I've ever learned. It's the knot I kind of just like to use. I just feel like it works better. I don't know. A lot of people, when you're fishing for catfish and whatnot, the polymer knot's great to use because it keeps the tension on the knot pretty well. And the fisherman knot, I like to use it for bass and trout and bluegill, a lot of smaller fishes. And it just seems to be the best knot that I like to use. And you get it like this, you do about 4 or 5 times around. I just put a little bit of spit on there and tighten it up right there, and that's all it is. It's pretty simple. Once you learn how to do it, it's simple. And in my video, I'll show you guys a couple videos a little bit down the road on how to do a few certain knots that I like to do, and a few knots that a lot of people like to do, like professional fishermen, and what knots works best for what. But I like the fisherman knot, so we're just gonna go ahead and go with that. You can see kind of like, and then look at that, that's beautiful, the little orange right there. And I bet you anything it'll probably. So I'm gonna start kind of, there's a rock right there, if y'all can see there's a rock right there. I'm gonna start kind of like in the angle of the rock right here and make my way down this way and kind of see if it works. Just let it drop a little bit because they seem to be biting a foot off the ground, and just reel it in slowly like this. I'm going a little bit faster, and the trout would do its own. The trout would just take the bites, and because they're predatory fish, and you still got to set the hook on these things. Even if, like right there, I just had a bite on that one, and then just go nice and slow back. And you could do a lot of different things. People just like to reel it in. I like to go stop it, reel it, stop it, reel it, stop it, reel it. And you see in the water, I don't know if you can see in the camera, stop it, reel it. It has really good action on this freaking, see, really good action on this lure, on the rooster tail. Get it nice and out there, let it drop, reel it in nice and slow, and hope for a trout to bite on that sucker. And then let it roll, stop it, let it go, let it roll. Nice and easy like that. Yesterday around this time is when I started using the rooster tails actually, and obviously you have to get the fish to be enticed by it, but it's pretty fun too this way. But see, it's pretty fun. I preferably, this just takes a lot of reeling it back in, going back in, and everything like that. And sometimes I like to go really fast, and it entices the trout like crazy, and then I let it stop, and then I go fast, let it stop, I go fast, let it stop, fast, and then slow. And see, hopefully if they bite on this thing, sometimes you want to go back and forth like this because they could be like right there at the bottom, just staring. They'll follow too. Right now I'm wearing glasses. I usually wear my contacts, but I usually have my polarized fishing glasses on, so I can actually see if they're following. And all I'm doing is just going 15 degrees off of where I first threw, and hoping that I could get the most trout, because they're there, obviously, because they keep on biting my power bait. Oh, and there was one. Beautiful, see? And that's all it is. See? Pretty simple. Bit that thing. And that's a big old fatty. Look, that's a little fat one too. The only reason I don't like this, most of the lures, is because like this one, it bit both ways. It just tried to swallow, it just tried to smack that line. So it has a hook on the top, a hook on the bottom, and we're lucky on the side. So usually you gotta apply the hook on the top, push the lip down, go up, and then kind of just follow the line back, and you just keep on rolling and rolling, and you push up a little bit. And these barbs on these treble hooks are a little bit difficult, and they're hella sharp, and so sometimes you gotta hold the lip down and you just gotta pop that thing right out, right there, and that's all it is. Thank you, trout. And look, it perfectly fine, nothing's wrong with it on the rooster tail. See, the orange, for some reason they love the orange stuff today and yesterday. I used to use the yellow stuff, and the yellow stuff used to smack really hard for me and get the trout. But different trout from different hatcheries, stock trout, they're fed on different pellets and stuff like that. And so it depends on what they want to do, what they want to eat. So that's hence why you got all these. And then you got another one right there, see, right off the bat. And that's a good size one right there. And that's a better size fighting one right there. Look at that. See, the orange, they love the orange. They're just smacking on this orange like crazy. See, smacking on this freaking orange one like crazy. And I love it. It's fun as hell, to be honest with you guys. It's super fun. I mean, look at that. That's a good size. This is probably about 10 inches. People will cook this whole, and they say that the 10 inch ones and 11 and 12 inch ones taste the best. I never ate trout, so I wouldn't know, but thanks, buddy. And then right off it goes, right there, and it just chills out right there. But look at that one. That one bit the hook beautifully, and nothing wrong with the sting. Just make sure that and it's just a freaking orange rooster tail. It just seems to be doing the job for me right now. And you saw, I just barely threw that thing out. I just started reeling it in like a nice little medium reel, and you want to make sure that it does its job. And it's pretty simple, guys. Going out right there about that far, and just might as well go to the mill again, because that's what they've been liking. And then once again, look at that, bam. See, once again, got those. See, the orange, man. Once you find out what they like, and you just keep doing what you got to do, you find out. See, that's a little bit better, bigger sized one right there, for sure. Yeah, look at that. See, that's a good size stock trout right there. That's a good eating stock trout right there for sure. That's what you want to do. See, look at that, man. Nice, big size. Let's measure this guy out for you guys. So, right here, I know. Usually, treble hook's gonna keep these guys on hooked pretty well. And so let's get this out of his mouth real quick. And beautiful lip on the top off. He seems to be. Come on, buddy. I know. You want to go back in the water with your friends? I got you. Relax. I know. Relax. I got you. Okay. So they're strong old fish too. So this one is about. Oh, look at that. It's about a 10-incher. About 10-incher. So there's not a lot of trout on this side of the lake. So might as well get them over there. And see, so that's usually why I don't usually throw them in like that. But there he goes. See, he kind of just, because the shock of throwing him in there. But now he's good. He went right in after noticing that he was in the water again. He thought after he fell earlier, that's probably why. But man, they're slimy as hell. Slimy as hell for sure. But maybe I should just start off with the rooster tail like I did yesterday. But at least you guys could see a little bit on how to use power baits. Rooster tails, you could buy like a pack at Academies for like this, for like a sort of like 7 colors for like, I think $15, which is worth it, because if the orange wasn't working, I was gonna try the rainbow trout color and see if that was working any better and everything. And you see I had a hit right there, but oh, there it is. You see, it came right back and it followed me. Hell yeah. Look at that. And right now, I'm telling you, right now it's about 3 o'clock. And it came right off right at the very end. But they're straight fighters, man, and that's what I love about them. Especially the big ones. They're gonna get the bigger bait. They're gonna go after the bigger stuff. That's why I like to use the rooster tails, because they just seem to fight better on the treble hook. And sometimes you reel it in a couple times and you won't get nothing sometimes, but sometimes you get those. Sometimes you get those 3-4 casts in and you're catching a fish every single cast. And that's the best thing about it. You find out where the spot. They're always in freaking groups, and you kind of just fish it like that every single time. When you figure out what's working, keep doing what's working. Oh, and there's another one. Ah, but it got right off. But it seems to be working. What's working best for me, guys, is throwing right there in that middle part and just reeling right in. And the trout just seem to be freaking smacking on this freaking orange rooster tail that I got going on. Hence is also why, why I use power bait, because if they're biting on a certain color a lot, and if I have a rooster tail in that color and I want to kind of get more action out of these fish instead of just waiting, and because the waiting can get boring after a while too, especially if they're not biting, because it's just in one spot and they have to taste it. Then, you know, figure out what color the power bait they're biting and use a rooster tail off that color if you have one. And see, I'm getting bites and nibbles, and I'm gonna let it drop because they're gonna come back. And just reel it all in. See, a little while ago, 4 or 5 casts in, I was getting a fish every single cast. But we have some people over here on the other side now. They're fishing with bait. So I mean, I think they're fishing with worms. But they seem to be keeping the fish. And you see, that's great. Especially when you see kids that are really young not at home playing video games and outdoors. You know, this generation of these smaller kids are kind of like, all they want to be is on their phones nowadays and on video games, not outdoors enjoying life. They'll be at home playing fishing on video games instead of enjoying the actual fishing itself. Which, I mean, I used to be like that when I was smaller, but I didn't have an access to a car where I could go wherever I want, or money, I could do whatever I wanted to. So, I mean, now I do, and I mean, nothing bad about that, you know? And so usually, oh, there's one. Hell yeah. And you gotta feel the bite of these fish every single time. And once you feel the bite of these fish, I know, buddy, see, that's a lot longer. And look at those colors on that thing. That's a beautiful freaking trout. But the colors on that thing, look at, I don't know if y'all could see. Yeah, let me get you. I know. That's a skinny little trout though. But look at that. That's pretty. And the pink right in the middle, and the whew. I know, buddy. I know. I gotta get you unhooked to one side first on the top. Let me get you going, and then I'll get you in the water. And this one bit. There it is. This one bit right on top of that nose. And if I could get this one off right there, beautiful. Nothing like this, and then right there. And nice little retrieve down on the water right there. See, it's just gonna stay right there a little bit and going right on his way. And it's crazy how they disappear right into that water, like. But yeah, that guy right across over there, I've been keeping an eye on him, seeing if he's caught anything. And I mean, he is pretty far from me, so even if he did catch something, I probably wouldn't be able to tell. But regardless, I mean, I haven't seen them catch anything either. And, you know, that's not their fault. They just don't know. And, you know, I don't mind when people are around me and stuff like that. If I see they're not catching stuff and I'm catching fish and whatnot, I'll offer them the fish that I catch. And then, if they ask me questions, I don't mind helping them. I don't mind at all. Because fishing's for everybody. It's all about learning experience for everybody. Just gonna get right back in. Made a couple fish more for you guys, and we'll call this good today, man. I enjoy you all watching. It's my first YouTube video, and I appreciate like more the comments and whatnot on what do y'all think I could do better and what y'all want to see me do. If y'all want to see me use different lures, different baits, different things, I like to make homemade baits and see if those work out, because sometimes those $5-6 power baits get pretty pricey, and trout love corn. And I mean, you can see what works best with the corn on jellos and whatnot. It could be something cool too to see. But anything y'all want to comment and whatnot and see what I could do better, I've been meaning to. I have a net, but I've noticed that a lot of people use like a silicone based net that works better for hooking and pulling out the fish, and the hooks don't stay on the deal too long. And so I've been meaning to probably buy one. You see all this little frost because it's like 10 degrees out here today, and the freaking trout seem to be loving this freaking cold weather, especially down below. But yeah, anything that y'all want to say that I could do better and whatnot, and give y'all's opinions on what y'all think I could do better in these videos. By all means, I mean, I'm open to opinions and everything like that. I do what I love, and this is what I love. I love fishing. And tell me if y'all, I live in Texas, so if there's a lake and stuff or whatnot, that's not too far, like in Louisiana or Colorado or Denver, obviously for the first bean, I mean, I don't mind doing those later on, but within money wise and whatnot, by all means, y'all are welcome to see if y'all want me to fish certain lakes and whatnot. I'm down to do that too. But whatever y'all suggestions are, I mean, I'm willing to listen and do whatever works best for you, my audience. These little kids over here seem to be catching some great fish, and they're doing it on little tiny dock rods. You know, I used to be the guy, I have a dock rod too, but I haven't actually my fish sensor on here, so I don't blame them, because it's so fun as hell to fish. And that's a good old size little, they caught like a good old size 12-incher over there, but good for them. Looks like there's somebody coming, and it looks like it's I don't think it's the game warden. Oh, there's one. Oh, and it got right off. Dang. Let's see. This thing's working great. I always tell everybody, no matter what, even if these ponds and whatnot, you don't think the game wardens come, oh, they will. It's better just to spend that extra $12 per day, or the extra $34 or $5 that you pay on a freshwater license. You can spend like I think it's like $47, $45, and you can get the salt water. Or actually, when I was out here yesterday, the game warden came out and he said that he gets the hunting license that comes with the fishing license and everything like that too, which is, I didn't know that. I mean, I've never gone hunting. That's an experience that I would love to show y'all too on my videos, but that'd be my first time ever hunting too. But that's something I never knew, that you could buy the hunting license and it includes the freshwater and saltwater on there, and the endorsements for the red drums and whatnot, red snappers and stuff like that, which I did not know about, which is something cool to learn. These little ponds, usually it's nice to know things kind of like if you read the little signs out and you figure out usually what your restrictions are here. Like here, obviously most ponds you can't drink at because they're city ponds. I mean, lakes usually they're drinkable. You can drink with cans. Oh, that's a good sized one right there. That's a good sized trout right there, boy. Nah, that's a small little bitty one, but man, that thing got some fight on that. Oh, look at that. And you know, you see like this one right here, people don't know how to hook fish, or they use too big of a hook, and they don't realize that size 6 is as big as y'all should really just go with on a hook. Anything bigger than that will pretty much mess up a trout. Come on, buddy. Right there. Let it go, let it go, let it go. And then usually these barbs over there, it is. See? And that's what happens with those eyes usually, is there you go, right into the water. Size 6 hook is the biggest I go on for trout fishing, because there's no reason to go any bigger than that. Their mouths are not that big. They're not bass fish, and so there's no reason for you to use a hook that's freaking ginormous, like trying to hope to hook a big ass trout And those stock trout, they're not that big. And if you go to Denver, Colorado, you know, you're gonna obviously catch bigger trout out there because those are wild trout. They're not stocked. And so those ones you can go bigger size hook for sure on those ones. But out here, there's no reason to go something that a size bigger than 6. And so, I mean, hence that's why you get those trout that have messed up eyes and stuff out here, which is crazy because it's on that orange and it still smacked that orange, but on my rooster tail. But I mean, if you're not going to take the fish home, then might as well use something that's not going to hurt the fish, you know, and something that you're going to put them back in and catch and release them. I mean, I'm a catch and release fisherman. I don't keep fish of any fish at all. Don't keep catfish, don't keep nothing like that. And I do it pure for sport. I don't do it for feeding. And some people out there, they love catching and eating it. I mean, I don't blame them. If I ate fish, I probably would too. But I never liked the taste of fish. I never have. And so I don't blame people for eating them. I mean, I've seen YouTube videos where people catch and cook. And I mean, if that's something that y'all are willing to do, by all means. My family, some of my family members, they love fish. And so this is a better size one right here for sure. Oh yeah, that's a good size one right there. Look at that. Heck yeah. That one's pulling drag. But look at that. That one got barely away from me and it nibbled it, spit it out, and I set the hook on it. And I know, buddy, I'm gonna try to get it out of here. And when he spit the hook out, I end up getting him right there on the lip, right there on the side of the lip right here. And since he's a little bit bigger, I know, let me get you out. Since he's a little bit bigger, it pulls a little bit more on him. And it depends on, that's why I kind of don't like treble hooks, because the treble hook tends to, right there. The treble hook tends to, let's see, that's a good size, I know. That's a good size trout right there. That's a good size eating trout right there. I'm pretty sure, and then we can measure this one for y'all. I'm pretty sure this is running about 11 to 12 inches. Probably more closer towards 11. And so, I know. Right there, get the snout. Yeah, closer towards 11 inches exactly. Look at that, see? They just don't, they don't want to. Look at it. And so, see, I'm gonna stick them on this side because I feel like, see right there, look at, nice catch and release. They don't seem to be on this side, and they probably have more food on this side because they're not fighting for so much food on this side, so they'll probably get bigger. But within March, April, they're gonna die off because it's too warm here in Texas for trout. Hey guys, so my GoPro's about to die like in 10 seconds. I just want to say thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Keep y'all lines tight.